Chill here with Sirius Dallas Moon, and this is Soul Hour, Sun in Scorpio in the first house, Ascendant 6 degrees Scorpio, and Mars in the second house, 1 degree separating from opposition to Uranus. Now, this is going to be a how-to for people that are on the path of making their own income in a way that's healthy for them and clearing out toxic type of work environments, whether in corporation and or as entrepreneur. So the first tip is when you price yourself, okay, when you price your skill, who are the gatekeepers in the society? Those are the people that have one or two things. Either they feel uncomfortable with pricing themselves fairly, or they are in secret societies that commit crime against humanity, and guys as legit business. Now this is going to help you in any type of business, any field of business. And second, and this is very related to the first, does your skill is your skill something that can be self-taught by courses? And if so, who are the people that try to gatekeep that skill from people who don't join a mentorship program? This is because secret societies where people need to do crime to be a part of the society and a part of the networking masquerade themselves by very traditional hierarchical patrons type of programs or mentorship programs. If it's not possible to study the skill that you study without entering an extremely unequal power relation, then this is a field that is flooded with criminal organizations, secret societies, and people that do crimes against humanity and guise themselves as a legit business. Number three, if it is impossible to reach the clientele that is compatible with your service, whether it's through algorithm or whatnot. This means that this field has been occupied by informants and infiltrators. And they try to gatekeep you from having a business because you're doing things not with human or crimes against humanity, is exposing the way that they do their practice wrong. What do I mean by that? If you're a doctor that respects patient sovereignty, Okay? You do no harm. And all of your colleagues are into dealing, whether it's the organs of the patients, whether it's their information and details, whether it's trying to make them forcibly addicted by prescription drugs, then when you respect patient sovereignty, all of your colleagues will try to keep you from, and they would use excuses that may sound like it's professional excuses. They would try to justify violating the rights of your clients by all types of excuses. Yes, if your client, for example, is in a toxic relationship and they come to you with their chart and their partner's chart, and you give them reading and you say, I see here challenges. One or both of you could be causing, let's say, um, emotional control, consciously or unconsciously. And they say, yes, I'm in a toxic relationship. I notice these things, I notice. Then you say, okay, then this is time to see anything emotional, but that would be moon, your housing, your parents, nourishment, food, and begin to tend to these topics where have power and control infiltrated these topics. For you, this is your way out of that equation. And to see that this was not a personal thing, it is as a politics thing, a economy thing, Plutonian types of things. And then your colleagues say, I don't agree to give reading to a person if their partner did not consent to give me the birth data. Okay, some of them might innocently believe that they have a point, but most of them know that you will expose, well, some of your colleagues work for being informants and are trained by those who will tell them, put that person together with that person and see them fight. Now, here's the thing. When astrology people naturally, when they have, let's say, hard Pluto aspects, hard Neptune aspects, they naturally um, begin to see what was wrong in existing relation, or certain people can come to their life that they go through and they need to do the collective tending to this topic. Okay, for example, right now, they try to force parents to do certain vaccines to children, and if the parents don't agree, they try to threaten to take the children away from the parents. Now, those are the same authorities that don't have the Epstein list, that put Michel Nihoul in Dutroux case. That don't find the missing children with all the top tech technology that could find a needle in a freaking haystack. So this would show that under the guise of professionalism, there would be attempts to gatekeep you from doing your profession. Now, even in professions that do need long years of certification, like being a doctor, being a psychologist, I showed how a lot of these things work. Now, of course, if you need to be a doctor, I don't know how to make the short, and it's not a short circuit training. It's to be aware that most of the research that you will see is research that survived the killing of the whistleblowers and the patients that could change the results of the research. And you, as a doctor, will need to take that into account. Or you are a part of committing crimes against humanity. And because the simple tools of respecting patient sovereignty that is inherent, particularly in mental health, also in physical health, not respecting it in physical health can cause mental health. Not respecting it in mental health can cause assassination. Now, when you open a business, if there are attempts for you to not be able to collect and report your due diligence, immediately you notify the authorities where you're supposed to do the due diligence. The authorities might act weird, but they will be forced to contend with that and tend to the targeting of you and your business. Because if you and your business were targeted, it was by classified projects, and they cannot harm you without tending to the due diligence regarding the classified projects. Even now, the FBI itself, and this is thanks to permaculture, okay, this channel that talks about what's happening in Oregon. The FBI published notice that ICE has to identify itself, else it is committing a fraudulent identity theft. And the people that were the criminals in ICE, they have to identify themselves as the criminals. And they have to identify as people that were masquerading to be ICE, that will be committing identity theft. Okay, people wore ICE uniforms, burst into house, shoot mother pregnant, shoot children. Yes, they should be prepared. If they had a gun, they should have shot those who gave the illegal order, if they are ICE. If they're not ICE, they should be prepared that the feds would try to disregard that by saying that they committed identity theft. Now, prior to that invasion, there would be identity theft of the people that were targeted to try to make it legal to target them. It's called targeting individuals, done by classified projects. Now, a lot of people, when they look at businesses, they look at tax evasion. Don't look at tax evasion. Notify authorities that there was problem with your due diligence, protects you from the mafia. Because it forces them to do their due diligence and look into their own offenses, and then they would do what FBI did. They would say, okay, those criminals have to identify themselves as pretending to be ICE. Now, very likely they were not pretending to be ICE, allegedly. But the FBI gets rid of them. So those that participate in targeted individuals, this is how they will be gotten rid of. Because they're committing illegal orders to the organization that they work in. In the Me Too, a lot of people talked about due procedure. It's just a problem that sexual boundary violation harms the ability to have coherent testimony, speech. Okay, the speech changes, people begin to write instead of speaking. Why? Because they were doing personality cult tactics to try to harm and psychically attack those who testified. Now in the beginning, it looked like, oh, but the people, why don't they go to... And then the juristic system was exposed. The tactics of gaslighting were exposed. The result of trauma were exposed. And people understood that to have due procedure, they need to change the entire way the procedure looks at evidence. Then the people that were left out in the cold and didn't receive justice, they curated, those of them that survived, they curated. Now they speak coherently. But they would not participate in corrupt court. Now, there is no line or type of business that you will not need to tend to those things that I mentioned. You want to look at your second and third house and the planets and aspects, and particularly the outer planets. Those would tell you what do you need to tend to. For example, for me, I have Venus and Mercury opposing Pluto, but trining Neptune. So it means, and Pluto in the ninth house. So it means that I deal with cult-like beliefs, cult-like academia, or cult-like international community when I come to launch my business and my services. And indeed, that's what happened. And Sun opposition Saturn, it means that when I try to work, people try to imprison me. Which means if I don't comply to their secret society rules, they would try to harm my heart health and try to harm my personality. By the way, one of the worst things that happened was when I was just singing and presenting that, because this would be Sun Venus, and there was a situation where it was trying to get me to go deed. Because of some secret society, and it was around the case of Madeleine. Now here's the thing, most of the people that people see with the symbolism of cult-like society, most of them, don't even know what that symbolism means. And yet, as a prospective business owner or entrepreneur, you want to get acquainted with those symbolisms and check your branding regarding those things. And you want to address it if those symbolisms were in your branding. And you want to think, how did that get to that? And very likely, if you have any mentors or even if you're channeling and so on, those that will want to do monkey business under the guise of your legit business, when it doesn't work for them, first of all, they will try to make you work with that symbolism. But when it doesn't work for them, they will try to attack your business and so on and so forth. And in that, they will expose themselves. And all of the plans, budget, what they built on that, will be exposed and will have due diligence. Now, it's better to know this before you start a business, but for those that already have business, those are the things that need tending to. Because when it comes to crime, okay, the minute a person will do for, okay, if a person will do crimes for them, they already operate by the rules of mafia. Even the informants, they were mafia. They listen to the ex-mafia bosses that talk very openly about it. In Gladio operation, you don't say it like that, but in Gladio operation, they took down all the drug lords like they're doing right now, and all of them became informants. And they were funded by classified project to target individuals, traffic them, and so on and so forth. Now, those of them that didn't transmute into completely legal business and did not disassociate themselves and did not undo the damage of targeting individuals are going to be in very big problem that's going to just intensify towards the 2060s. And if it sounds like a lot, then take into account that we're also almost in the 2030s. It's just a Saturn cycle away. And what is that Saturn cycle? There are going to be some of them in their 80s and want to retire. What they did to hospitals, what they did to jails, is what they prepared for themselves for retirement. Now, it's there when they will reach the get away with age, and then all the things that they saved for retirement with all the crimes they did will no longer be there. And those that don't unalive themselves, they rely on living to 100. Now, when people are participating in crime, and I mean crime, I don't mean stealing food from the grocery store for personal use, okay? Like when Sphere and Sundry did Dene Balgedi talisman, they said Dene Balgedi doesn't care if you jaywalk. It cares about the real thing. But then, those that, how should I say that? Now Sphere and Sundry needs to set a boundary to MK often. and yes, to put it quite tenderly. Um, and this is true to any business. If I started to do talismans tomorrow, I would need to make sure my business is MK often proof. Okay, which means that, yes, so mm-hmm. So for those people that do crime, okay, they need to understand that they operate by the secret society rules, which means they're always a threat. Everybody is supposed to betray them, and they're supposed to not betray the mafia or the secret society. They are supposed to do what is crime. What crimes do they do? Traffic drugs, to traffic children, so to extortion cults. They might be introduced to that business through, oh, just pulling some drugs. It's not. What is done with that drugs? Oh, just target this individual. They are this, they are that, they are that. Who sent you to target the individual? Ah, the feds. Under what? It's classified. Classified budget. It means you're targeting individuals by classified budget. You're working for the predators to target those that testified and didn't sell their children to the mafia. Five, five, five as I speak. Now the authorities, they know exactly who the big offenders are. It's extortion cult. They don't need. You see, when there was a case of a Me Too in my academia, I didn't go to hunt for that person. I went to heal myself because I know whatever was behind that person will collapse itself. And now they are afraid of hug. Let's just put it that way. By the way, at that time I was learning to hug myself. And nourish myself. Nourish the little child. Now, when you begin to tend to these things on a collective level, you will begin to make the path to disentangle all the blocks for your financial freedom. So, and you know, this video is particularly to the people that hear people talking about shadow work and they did their shadow work. Okay? Now, some of the residues of shadow work that still need to be done, when you tend to the collective phenomena, you will see that you also tend to that, and those residues are disappearing. Because the collective shadow, yes, it had to it had to hold to something. For example, until Gen Zers, it was for millennials like me impossible, because I was trying to get into what is my trauma from workplaces. Oh, well, it is corruption. And when Gen Zers arrived, they exposed the hidden ways in which corruption, whether it's microaggression, whether it's the schedule itself, not having a chair at the workplace, not being able to have a meaningful, all the things that I reached through, being sick, trying to be more authentic, trying to find solutions, trying to this, Gen Zers set as a standard. Now, yes, a lot of the jobs that we felt are boring or not meaningful are going to be done by AI. So listening to our bodies was a good thing because it prepared us to study the skills that AI cannot replace. AI that is government founded, whether global or local, or mafia founded, it will not tell you the truth about your chart. Or to compete with astrologers like me, it would have to, which means that I would have housing first, independent of ability to work, and go dig my half moons according to the astrology chart somewhere. Now I'm tending to protecting the airspace, because when the spraying things that harm the crops, it means that that the soil is being punished, and the sky that punishes the land loses mandate of the heaven. And this usually happens around solar eclipses for leaders and lunar eclipses for people. Now, when is the karma for the people that did what they did in the West? I don't know. I think it's individual. There will also be like karma for an organization. The Bilderberg and Belsen is experiencing one. Whether it's the testimony of Anneke Lucas or just the fact that there are a couple of billionaires trying to hide the fact that there are a couple of billionaires when people don't have housing, food, and whatnot. Or medicine that actually is medicine. It's not the Victorian era type of Dr. Mengelis. By the way, there was a person that worked for Teva that says, sometimes people call people Dr. Mengele, can we litigate them and so on? And the lawyer answered him, said, you see, in some circumstances, we'll have to check the... No lawyer office would want to try to litigate people for calling Dr. Mengele Dr. Mengele. Okay? Like, Dr. Mengele did crimes against humanity. They managed to smuggle him, but no lawyer wants to actually say that somebody that calls Dr. Mengele Dr. Mengele um, will be litigated for, what was it? I don't even know what's the name of this type of litigations. Ruining the reputation of someone. Now they made big profit, and this would be the time to go short on them before the backlash from the Johnson and Johnson 2.0. It's the same generic product under the same name, even risperidone, risperidal. Now they have a booming because everybody needs to have a pharmaceutics, with all the people that came back from the battlefield. Um, and all the people that put Zain in the Kalpi to close the welfare services are now complete and total and utter cuckoo that are completely reliant on the welfare. And this is also why I'm making this video, because it is useful for people that go out of income-based housing. Those are the things they would need to deal with in their business. Seizure girl, seizure girl, seizure girl. It's a specific message for a seizure girl. Yeah, she's coming out of income-based housing, and I don't want her to meet ICE. So this is my own veteran experience of trying to come out of being funded by the welfare. Okay, trying to have a jobby job. And yes, there definitely are things that are shadow work or things that are inner work, like what type of business would AI not be able to replace? Now people say, oh, the human touch, the human condition, they took care of that. They infiltrated psychology a long time ago, so much so that people would prefer to talk to an AI. It began with those that provide psychology from distance, but if they do dark occult to keep the business, then okay, also them. In fact, I had a friend psychologist. She was a psychologist for the army. Worked insane amount of hours, and then while helping people out of toxic relations, she had to get out of her own toxic relation. By the way, with somebody who was fighting human trafficking. But I think he was a double. Or he was programmed and the relationship was toxic. Then eventually uh, she sold everything with the partner, went to Albania, where the bunkers are. And in the beginning she did far away, from far away. Then they made like travel vlogs and stuff like that. Uh, and this is person I knew really from 2007. Went through intense struggles, sustained. And now they're in a bunker in Albania. But you see, this person was helping people out of toxic relations, doing the shadow work, and so on and so forth. They're not worried. It's the people that committed war crimes. And the psychologists that were trying to traffic their patients. And the people that are, oh, but to call someone Dr. Mengele, then the lawyers say to them, well, depending on the context, because they know what's coming. Nobody, no lawyer business that dabbles into these things wants to, the only type of lawyer who would protect them would assassinate them with extortion cult. They say, I will protect this person. Of course they will protect, because they will take the information, and then when that person threatens them in the business, they will assassinate them. This is why not doing crime is making one less susceptible to be assassinated. Because when people say, oh, I will commit, do small thing, do this, do that, get money, target this, give information on that. No, you give information to assassinate a person. You see, for me, when I was in Netherlands, and there were all the informants, I did not agree to join them. So I did not agree to assassinate, or to give information to, or to target prime ministers, or opposition. In fact, attended to political assassination prevention. But the people that do certain things, and they will always spend them as not serious things. Okay? Or as right thing to do. Now here's the thing. They try to make me target Bibi Netanyahu. He's probably not a saint. That being said, people that don't grant sexual sovereignty, human rights, housing first, they're not going to be a good replacement to Bibi Netanyahu. So why would I participate in assassinating the prime minister that can be replaced in elections? If I don't like, I never voted for Bibi. My parent one time did because they worked for Israel Hayom, which was a Bibiton. This is the media that belonged. That was their job, so they voted for the Führer. One time. And I said, well, I respect that. But that fear could be replaced by elections. Okay? And the people that wanted me to participate in targeting Bibi, well, I never voted for Bibi. They were criminals. They were doing war crimes. They were raping people. They were targeting people. They were trafficking people. Now, were they working for Bibi? I don't know. Like, it's a treason cult. Like, anything can be. So, I have no idea who these people are. But they can look for the houses that I lived, who were the landlords, who were the realtors. They can look at the satellites, who came, and who were the handlers. For that, they would need to look for the astral and to check for the entire trajectory, because they can torture someone. Just this night, my mother was asleep, and somebody tried to take the shape of my mother and come in my dream, and I don't know what they had to say. They were holding their hand forward like this and complaining like a mafiosi. I don't know what they had to say, and they were very afraid. They tried to project fear onto me. I'm like, okay, they're afraid to be exposed. It's their fears. Don't traffic people. Don't target individuals. If they have the power to appear in my dream and take the shape of my mother, and I saw it was different, completely different energy, it was not my mother's energy, then they have the power to do all of this dumb fuckery to the ones that sent them. It's very simple. If they can do all this voodoo, hoodoo, shmoodoo, whatnot, they can do the same thing, target the ones that send them. Because they already have the power. They have more power than me in that situation. They know how to do those. The most I will do is defend my field, shielding, defense, return to original sender, known or unknown. If that is more humane, then have them have access to death, not to kill anybody. But if they send something that's worse than death, then I wish that they will have access to death, because I don't wish to perpetuate evil. Okay? Hurt people, hurt people. I'm not here to judge or blame anybody, but it's just that we don't want to perpetuate evil. We need to transmute, so we're not perpetuating evil. Now, this is something that everybody that has a business needs to tend to. When it comes to, for example, building half moons, maybe they can hire robots to do that. But then it would mean that the people will live in housing that are for healing, and they would work with the soil for their healing. They had healing in art, healing in music, healing in agriculture. Now, a lot of the traffickers try to put the trafficking as healing from sexual boundary violation. Raping people is not healing from sexual boundary violation. What it does do is that that's being filmed, and then the offenses, if somebody, let's say, was a veteran, raped, there's satellites that would show exactly what they did, and then they go to heal. Then they will meet an incubus or succubus, because what the trafficked person is not for the trafficking, it's for the information to harvest life energy. Now, if he was a client of human trafficking and he raped in the army, then yet the only way out is to come out as satanic ritual abuse survivor, but then he actually has to tend to abolishing ritual abuse. For me, they try to make me be some of the people that they would take to real estate, to turn over the real estate, Now here's the thing, to be very honest, those who were crooked landlords were more susceptible to having their real estate upturned. Or they had crooked realtors. Okay? So, but those that were behind that were not necessarily, they wanted to build, like trafficking hubs. And they were just competing with one another. So for me, I did not agree to do this. But the only way in which was when I exposed that somebody was trying to, along the lines of traffic, or put women in a situation that she could be abused in that situation. And then his wife found out about this. And so I didn't get housing. I was not informant, which means I wouldn't work, in that line of recruiting people to assassinate the prime minister or opposition. But everybody that tried to make me do crime, the most they got is me stealing sushi from Albert Heijn and doing manifestation of housing. It's the one time I drank a glass of wine. And by the way, it's a particular branch of the Albert Heijn, there were the bikes of the police all over the place. Because they were trying, I guess, I was channeling, okay? So I guess that those that got into this channeling were trying to show me how police is doing nothing and how I can get away with everything. But for me, I just needed food and housing. So it was not. And why Albert Heijn? Because it was the biggest supermarket in Netherlands. So we can imagine what Albert Heijn did to have run a business. So much so that a series of police officers, now here's the thing, they work with the police, so whoever, I don't know what was I channeling, but it's very likely that that was socially engineered. When another person would try to do that, the entire police would be on them. Because they were thinking that I would do bigger crime. And for me, I was just trying to have food, and sushi is something that I like, so I was manifesting a house. And I did like a party, like when you enter a new house. So it was like a party with myself, and I drank wine. And I told the lady that checks this, I said, I'm doing that thing, and I brought a bottle of wine for that, and if she wants a glass of wine, she said, no, it's no problem. Because otherwise, it's not allowed to bring those things, and I would also not bring those things because I never drink wine. So. But those that want to replace the government need to show that they honor human rights and provide for the disabled better than the existing government. If nobody tends to the ritual abuse around elections, there's no party to vote to. It doesn't mean that people will not vote or will not ever vote. It means that those that compete over control will have to protect the rights of the people the best. Or they lose mandate of the heaven. And I said in previous videos, those that are, why don't people want to work, or this or that, either they don't see what's coming, or they believe that they are going to be the biggest mafia boss on planet Earth, which would eventually also be assassinated. Now, people are worried about all the jobs being occupied by AI. They shouldn't worry. Those are all the boring jobs, the jobs that would get people sick, the jobs that the robot can do. What they should be worried about is that all those people that said, why don't people want to work, are now finding themselves understanding that Gen Zers were not a bunch of lazy people, or people that demanded too much from a workplace, like to make a life while making a living, financial freedom, doing something that's actually valuable and meaningful. All the things that I got sick to point of a verge of suicide as a millennial. And the trafficking in academia. So the people that naively were thinking, well, some people don't want to work, that this, that that, they always find an excuse, that da 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 da, they are going to suffer the most. And the people that were saying that as a mockingbird because they were doing crimes, they will be exposed, and what they thought to earn from that, they will have to pay with dividends. You see, I spoke about the case in Israel. There was a case that the mother whose son died at the war committed suicide, and she did not receive the help, the help to allow her to rest and recover. At this time, this happens. It became a national story. Now their son is asking for donations. It became a national story, and at this time, they send in people to target individuals that were receiving help because they think that those people might fool the system. Any person that receives something from the welfare, either it was like me, it was like give me death or give me studies, or it was people that if they got from one disability, it means they have 100,000 others. All of them correlate with the working sector, so the rehabilitation that they